fees.
What's up, my people? It's your boy PY at watching the host with the most, and I'm large and in charge. I'm telling you, 28th December, All White Party is the 3FM All White Party happening live at the Labadi Beach Hotel. 28th December. Guess who's there? Beautiful and sensational Jackie. Hinata, my boy from Tadi. And guess what? The soldier. And young man, the torture. Stoneball.
3FM All White Beach Party. Sponsored by Blue Jeans Energy Drink, Slam Perfume, Calipo, Fruitelli, Nero Prime Water, FC Perfumery.
This afternoon, Attorney General and Minister of Justice to file fresh charges against embattled Ashanti Regional Chair of the NPP, Bernard Entwibo-Esiako, over possible cause of financial loss to the state amounting to some 24 million cedis. Also, the Accra High Court varies bail terms for former CEO of the NPA, Mustafa Abdul Hamid, and 9 others who were standing trial for multiple offences, including extortion, abuse of public office, and money laundering. Later, we're in the Ashanti region, where a tragic fire outbreak claimed the life of 6 individuals at Ibuakwa Menchia. Details soon. It's a festive cheer zone. Hello there. Welcome to News Central here on TV3. I am Mawina Igbeta. The details are with us in a minute. This afternoon, the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayeni, has announced that the state will prosecute Wuntumi Farms and its directors for alleged financial crimes involving the Ghana Export-Import Bank. Addressing journalists at the Accountability Series, Dr. Ayeni said investigations conducted by the Economic and Organized Crime Office has uncovered sufficient evidence to support the charges of defrauding by false pretenses, forgery, and causing financial loss to the state.
Our investigations established that Chairman Wuntumi had approached Kasama Enterprise, an industrial equipment dealer, and obtained an invoice with a promise to return to purchase the said equipment. He never went back to purchase the equipment. Instead, and this is where the criminal enterprise began, he forged the invoice he obtained from Kasama Enterprise by removing the word invoice and replacing it with receipt. This forged receipt was then submitted to Exim Bank as proof that he had purchased the equipment after the disbursement of the loan facility. Investigations established that Chairman Wuntumi did not purchase any equipment and as such could not register any equipment in the joint names of Exim Bank and Wuntumi Farms Limited as per the loan conditions, even though funds were disbursed to him to that effect. A contract, but constitute acts of criminality by no means a person than the regional chairman of the then ruling party. In the circumstances and the face of the evidence we have gathered in this investigation, thoroughly conducted by the Economic and Organized Crime Office, we have made the decision to prosecute Wontumi Farms and its directors with defrauding by false pretenses, forgery, and causing financial loss to the state in the sum of 24,255,735.
And that's the Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayine. We'll go into our Presidential Affairs correspondent, Komla Kluche, who was at this event. Also asked a question in relation to the National Cathedral and matters relating to it. We'll go to him for a bit more in terms of the details. Komla Kluche is joining us right now via Zoom. Komla, thank you very much, and the patience as well for holding. Let's begin with a breakdown. We've had the AG explain bits and pieces of what Wontumi Farms was engaged in. Provide us a bit more before we go into the other matters he brought details to us of.
So Dr. Dominic Ayine says on January 2018 that based on an application submitted by Bernard Entry Busiako, who is chairman of Wontumi, the chief promoter of Wontumi Farms, to the Exim Bank, which had approved a medium-term loan facility of 18.734 million Ghana cedis, which included a grant component of 6.7 million cedis to him. Now, this offer, according to the AG, was accepted via a letter dated January 23, 2018, and Chairman Wontumi, seen as the Chief Executive Officer of Wontumi Farms Limited, and Thomas Enchubosiako as a Director of Wontumi Farms Limited. The offer letter, according to the AG, did indicate that the approval of the medium-term loan facility was subject to the bank's terms and conditions. That the loan offer letter further stated that the loan was secured with 10,000 acres of farmland of Wontumi Farms at a town in Ashanti region called Asarinkwanta. Now, the breakdown of the approved 18.73 million Ghana cedi loan per the offer, the AG did indicate, runs as follows: that the purchase of agriculture plant and machinery 3.85 million Ghana cedis, working capital 8.1 million cedis, then the grant staff cost and consultancy fee would run to 6.7 million Ghana cedis. The AG further went on to indicate that in order to execute the project, Wontumi Farms later submitted a pro forma invoice to the Exim Bank for the purchase of the farm equipment, which included tractors, combine harvesters, corn seed machines, and a Wellington boots. But in the process, the invoice was procured from a firm known as Summer Enterprise for the purchase of the equipment in a sum of million Ghana cedis. Wontumi then allegedly removed the part that had the invoice, but still had the as a receipt, and submitted it to the Exim Bank. Now, the thorough investigation did reveal that all of these were forged, and he got the money and did not use the money for the intended purpose. This is the explanation of the AG, to which he says they will take him on and will deal with him appropriately regarding the charges that will be filing by shortly after the Christmas break.
We know it wasn't just Wontumi. Percival Kofi Akpaloo as well became the subject matter of investigations by Iyoko. The AG says that they've concluded work in relation to him as well. What are the details, and why is he a subject matter of interest in government's oral agenda?
Well, on the case of Kofi Akpaloo, the FIC flagged a financial transaction that belonged to a company which he allegedly had interest in, by name Puma Universal Ghana Limited. Now, following the transaction trail, the FIC and then Iyoko began an investigation into the matter. The investigation that did reveal that Puma Universal Ghana Limited, a business entity owned entirely by Equia Puma, was the legitimate contractor that was awarded a cocoa board feeder road contract. But Kofi Akpaloo went behind her, allegedly formed the company with the same name, but with an age, and got funds from Cocoa. The monies were transferred to him in terms of a check, which he paid into his account, which was meant for the lady. But then later on, when the bank did an investigation, they realized that the monies were wrongfully paid. Kofi Akpaloo claimed this cash allegedly, and he transferred it into his own account. Let's listen to exactly what the AG had to say with respect to the explanation on this matter.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the case involving Mr. Percival Akpaloo of the Liberal Party of Ghana, the Financial Intelligence Center flagged and filed a suspicious transaction report with First Bank Ghana Limited regarding transactions on an account belonging to Poma Universal Ghana Limited. That is a company owned by they said Kofi Akpaloo. Following the STR, that is a suspicious transaction report by the FIC, the Economic and Organized Crime began an investigation into the matter. Ekua Poma also alleged that Akpaloo forged her signature on the Cocoa Board contract using her former name, Mercy Owusu, to secure the agreement without her authorization. First Bank Ghana Limited conducted an internal investigations and corroborated the fraud allegations that we have made, concluding that Akpaloo knowingly misrepresented ownership of the checks and deposited them into the wrong account. The bank acknowledged operational failures in detecting the discrepancies between the check payee names and the account numbers. The suspects who have been investigated are Percival Kofi Akpaloo, Poma Ghana Limited, the Poma with the H, and Delvin Akpaloo, his wife. That is the spouse of Kofi Akpaloo. The evidence shows that they engage in various criminal offenses, including stealing, forgery, and money laundering, and they will be charged by my office again, as I said, upon resumption of work after the Christmas.
Right, so Kamala, we hear the AG on that matter, and in both instances he mentions that charges will be filed in January of next year. You asked a question as well about the National Cathedral. What was the response? Because we know he didn't just speak to these two matters.
Well, His Excellency the President had directed the Attorney General, the Auditor General, the Minister of Finance, Dr. Kesela Tuforson, to put out a forensic audit into the whole transaction or the whole National Cathedral thing. We are aware, for instance, yesterday when the President was in Sunyani, the Domahini raised serious issues concerning this and say it cannot be convinced that somebody did not do, somebody must be held. In fact, he says somebody must be held liable for the issue of the National Cathedral. Well, the AG's update is to the effect that he, as an Attorney General, cannot provide non-legal services, and the forensic audit falls within the terrain of an audit, which the Auditor General, together with the Minister of Finance, have procured the services of PricewaterhouseCoopers. Now, the update is to the effect that they have done some amount of investigation or forensic audit, but they have written to his office for a meeting with him to fashion out some few details. But he makes the point that hopefully in the shortest possible time, a complete forensic audit would be out regarding the construction of the stalled National Cathedral, and that would inform the way forward, whether there has to be the prosecution, whether there has to be recoveries and all that. That would be able to tell going forward when the forensic audit is out.
Absolutely, Komla. Thank you very much. That's Komla Kluche. He's our presidential affairs correspondent joining us this afternoon in relation to what it is that we can expect from him as well. But away from that and to some other matters this afternoon for you in relation to the OSP versus Mustafa Hamid and some others in the NPA matter. And the Accra High Court has varied the bail terms of former National Petroleum Authority Chief Executive Officer Mustafa Abdul Hamid and 9 others. Mustafa Hamid and the 9 other accused persons are standing trial for multiple offences, including extortion, abuse of public office, and money laundering. They've pleaded not guilty and are on a 2 million cedis bail each with 3 sureties. Per the previous bail conditions, Dr. Hamid, who's the first accused person, Jacob Kwamina Imua, the second accused, and then Wendy Newman, the third accused, were to report to the registrar of the court, while the remaining were to report to the registry. All accused persons have, however, now been ordered to report to the investigators in the matter, which is the OSP. So, Lord Edwasare is my colleague in the courts for us. We're going there right now for you and get a bit more in terms of the details as to what were the arguments put before the courts which convinced the judge to vary the terms of the bail conditions. Lord has joined us via Zoom right now. Lord, let us in on what the arguments were and why the court was so minded to amend the bail conditions.
Right, and so today in court, the main business of the day, we hear application by the first National Petroleum Authority Chief.
Right, a bit of a challenge.
He has filed an application to strike out the charges against him. But at the last adjourned date, the presiding judge in the matter, Justice Kokuvite, had ordered him, essentially his lawyers, to serve the other 9 accused persons with that application, seeing that it was just him, but the others were not in the know. So they came to court today, and it was put before them by the presiding judge that, in as much as this was an application before the courts, there was another application, which was the application to vary the bail conditions filed by the Office of the Special Prosecutor, as well as an affidavit in opposition to that application to have his charges struck out. Now, there are no arguments on that front, except to say that some written submissions had already been put there, and so the presiding judge asked them, once she notified them about that application to vary the bail conditions. Now, all 10 lawyers or defense counsel objected to the grant of that application to vary the bail conditions, but the judge, in exercising her discretion, granted that bail application to vary the bail conditions, in that previously they were supposed to report to the court registrar, which was the first to third accused persons, namely Wendy Newman, Kobna Amwa. They were to report to the registrar, and the registrar was supposed to forward a report after the report to him to court. And then the other 7 were to report to the registry. So basically, any personnel at all in the registry. But due to certain previously, the judge had indicated registrars were not doing that essentially. So the OSP went to file another application to get the accused person to report back to them, since they are the lead investigators on the case. So the judge essentially granted that application to vary the bail conditions and ordered that every Tuesday they should report to the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Now, as far as the application to strike out the charges against Dr. Abdul Hamid, the lawyer, his lead counsel, led by Joseph Pemka, prayed for a leave of time, or pray for leave to enable him file his written admissions, to file his documentation, essentially. Now, the special prosecution led by Principal Prosecutor Adelaide Kubri Wood also prayed for time to file written submissions, I should say, in response to that submissions which had been, which is going to be filed by the defense counsel. All the other lawyers for the other accused persons also prayed for same, and so that was also extended to them. And so essentially, they are to return to the courts on January 14, by which time they should have filed all their written submissions, and then the application, the court will hear the application to strike out the charges against Dr. Mustafa Abdul Hamid Marina.
And when are we expecting them to be back in courts, just briefly?
Next year, January 2026, January 14, 2026. And man, I should say that if you recall, the deputy director of the National Service, she's also in court for charges proffered against her. She was also in court early on. Now, you also recall that in her case, being a case management conference by the prosecution, defense lawyers, and so today, the prosecution led by the director of prosecution, Yvonne Asakra Obobisa, outlined some of the documents.
Right.
Gifty Owari, and the court ordered Gifty Owari to, as it were, file the names and addresses of the witnesses that she intends to rely on in the case. And so she's also back in court the same day that Mustafa Hamid is also back in court, which is January 14th. And so that day will be quite a busy day because both of them, their cases will be heard in court, Marina.
Absolutely, Lord. Thank you very much for those details. That's Lord Edwasar, is my colleague for us in the courts, helping us get details as to what's been happening. There's a Gifty Owari case, and then there's a Mustafa Hamid case as well. But let's switch focuses right now and bring you some other matters, where the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa, has handed over mining operating permits to the Anya and Teleku Bokazo Responsible Cooperative Mining Society Limited in the Elembele district, marking the official rollout of the Responsible Cooperative Mining and Skills Development. The initiative is part of a broader series of measures by the ministry aimed at curbing illegal mining, promoting responsible mining practices while creating alternative livelihood opportunities. Stephen Kujo is my colleague who's joining us via phone as to the details from here. Stephen, first off, tell us about the start of the responsible cooperative mining in the Western region and why Elembele became the chosen district.
Yeah, you remember the government through the Minister of Land of Natural Resources rolling out measures toward the fight against illegal mining and also ensuring responsible mining, with some initiative, notably the Blue Water Gas and the 9 most operative. Now, the latest to the fight is the introduction of the Cooperative Mining Society. It will be recalled that in September this year, government launched the initiative, and in the process of working, the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources has handed over the mining operating permit to Avina and Telugu Bukazo Cooperative Mining Society. The two communities are predominantly a mining community in the Elembele district. They are the first beneficiary of the initiative, and by this permit, they have been given access to to mine in abandoned concerns, which used to belong to Adamus Mining Limited. By so doing, they are not going to be engaged in any form of illegal mining along with water bodies in the district. These two communities are not going to be the only beneficiary of the initiative. The ministry is working with the Responsive Cooperative Mining and Skill Development Secretariat to also extend the initiative to other mining communities within the district. According to the sector minister, the program is a key intervention which is designed to eliminate illegal mining practices, particularly the use of mercury. To achieve this, it revealed that the cooperative will be given modern technologies for their mining activity. Also, the miners being given the permit, they have a 5-year time span, and by so doing, they are also supposed to ensure that they mine responsibly. Though you have been given the mining alright, but if the ministers' checks and interventions, they ensure that they are not using the mining lines or they are not mining responsibly. The minister has the right to revoke the licenses.
Let's take a listen to the minister when he addressed the gathering during the handing over of the certification to them, and then I'll come back to you again.
Every license holder of corporate mining will be required for specific hours of training every year. That's one of the conditions for continuing your license. They are also going to be guided by certain strict rules and regulations on environment, on sustainable mining practices. And so we are going to do that. We are also going to help them with the processing of the extracted materials. You know, often one of the reasons why we get all these problems is that they need to get water to wash some of this. If we use modern technology to help them in really the extraction, they are able to really extract at a very high percentage value and without destroying the water bodies, and that's what we are going to do. But this is really a very important step in ensuring that we get our people away from irresponsible mining.
And Stephen, has the government explained how it intends to ensure transparency and fairness, and also ensuring that these individuals do not engage in mining practices that destroy the environment?
Yes, the Secretariat of the Responsible Cooperative Mining, they are going to liaise with other regulatory authorities like the Minerals Commission, the EPN, the Water and Resource Commission, to ensure that they will be doing frequent follow-ups at the various sites to also ensure that the cooperatives are mining responsibly. And also, as part they have formed an association, as part of the association, to ensure that they mine responsibly. These miners are being owned by the community. So the chiefs and traditional leaders in the communities, who are also the custodian of the land, are part of the measures or the association to ensure that they mine responsibly in the community.
Right. Stephen, thank you very much. Stephen Kujo is my colleague in the Western region, helping us understand the latest initiative of the cooperative mining. That's been launched, but we're seeing the first community, the Elembele community, benefit from this. And most definitely it's a subject matter that we can look more into and bring you details of, because there's a concern about how well the indigents will mine and ensure safety of the environment as well as some of the second points for a conversation. But I'll take us on to our very first break here on News Central. When we return, we're in the Ashanti region where not so pleasant news, because a devastating fire outbreak claimed the lives of some 6 at Ibuakwa Menshia. We'll get details if you stay with us. You're welcome back to News Central. Now, a devastating fire outbreak has claimed the lives of 6 people at Ibuakwa Menhia in the Ashanti region. The incident occurred around midnight on Sunday when fire engulfed a residential building, trapping occupants inside the house. Among the victims were a 5-year-old child and a 3-month-old baby, deepening the grief of residents in the community. Eyewitnesses say the fire spread rapidly, leaving little time for escape. Residents who attempted to rescue the occupants were overwhelmed by the intensity of the flames. Personnel from the fire service arrived at the scene and managed to bring the fire under control, but all 6 occupants had already been consumed by the fire. The cause of the fire is yet to be officially determined, though investigations have commenced to establish the circumstances surrounding the tragedy. The incident has left the Ibuakwa Menhia community in shock, with relatives and neighbors calling for improved fire safety awareness and quicker emergency response to prevent future occurrences. Ibrahim Abubakar is joining us this afternoon. Ibrahim, must be very difficult, particularly at a time like this where excitement is what is supposed to be filling the air, but for residents at Ibuakwa Menhia, it's completely different. Talk to us about it.
Exactly, Mauna, quite a sad day for the residents here, especially the tenants in that house, because they said yesterday around 6:30 the light went off. They were all in the house taking in some fresh air. Around 8, they decided to enter their various rooms to go and sleep. Then later in the night, some of them said they started hearing noise, that calling for help and other things, only to come out and realize that the house is on fire. So everybody was trying to take cover. They all ran out of the house, called fire service personnel to come in, only for them to later realize that the 6 individuals have all perished. So the 6 include one Kisua, who is a tenant of the house, together with a 5-year-old child. Then she also has 2 children with her. One completed senior high school this year. The other is also in SHS 3. So those 2 are children of her siblings. Then one of her sisters, who has recently given birth, was here yesterday. She came all the way from Mpasaso. She said they will be doing the naming ceremony of a 3-year-old baby somewhere next week. So they came in last night, hoping that today in the morning they will be able to move to Kumasi or even Ibuakwa to be able to buy some few items and go back to Mpasaso, only for this unfortunate incident to befall on them. So it's quite a devastating scene. It's quite a sad scene here. The fire service personnel have come here. They have begun with their investigation. For now, they are unable to point to anything that led to the fire. But we do know that anytime there is power outage and the lights are being restored, it sometimes comes with a different force. And for that matter, it's able to spark fire. So that's why the fire service is even taking advantage to engage residents around and also advise them that anytime there is power outage, they should put off all gadgets and even take the plug or take the switch from the plug. So those have been the issues. But then, like I said, quite a sad day. But let's listen to one of the co-tenants who has been sharing with us what really happened last night.
Nunsia enefa ena electricity for dum kanea to omudum no ye tete ene mu ha ya ne ye sister ba ko ye ne wa free mu ye ne nyina na tete ha no mo enti ebo be ye no nwotwe ne fa ne kokoro adem seja ye kope ba bi de ye ho ato ti ya da ho no mo abaye 11 to 12 mu ho no na me fi ne adum light ena omo so enti omo so na me te se me fi ewura baba ko apie edinkeke mo nsoli ne fi ha ye den ehye tini yes ana se ye nyina obi apie for ne life nti ye pie ye no ye nyina wo bisa we ya we no bisa we ya we ni afi ne enhu ye sister wo no nti me kra na me start say me frɛ no ti ye frɛ na afi wo frɛ adum tanche honorable by mention summary mind ba ha no mo na fire service for nso ye den e ba nti omo ba ye je omo dum gya no a omo fa kire ho no na kire se ye sister no ene ne nuane ne sister ba ko e ka ho ni pensia no ma ye nyame de.
Ibrahim, help us with the translation of what she's been saying.
So basically, like I said, they said yesterday around 6:30 the power or the lights went off in the area. They were in the house around 8:30. They decided to go and take a nap or sleep. Then they all entered their rooms around 12. They started hearing noise and calling for help, only for them to come out and see the house engulfed and in flames. So they all moved out, hoping that all the tenants have been able to move out of the house. But then when the fire service came, they doused the flame. They then realized that all 6 occupants in one of the rooms have all perished from the flames. So it's quite a big blow for them. Like I said, the fire service personnel are here. They commence investigation to unravel the circumstances that led to this tragic.
Right. Ibrahim, thank you. Thank you very much. That's Ibrahim Abubakar. He's my colleague in the Ashanti region, helping us understand what is a tragic development from the Buakwa militia. But let's move away from there, because a free-for-all fight broke out among members of the Apostle Revelation Society ARS Church in Tajevu in the Ketu North municipality during a congressional event on Sunday. Members of the ARS Church worldwide gathered in Tajevu, the headquarters. They gather every year for an end-of-year convention, but this year's event is being marked with controversy among leaders of the church, leading to violent confrontations. Exactly what are these concerns, and why are people fighting at a church gathering? Let's get the details from Faisal Abdul Idris. He's my colleague from the Faisal. We know the ARS Church has for some time now been faced with internal wranglings, but can you tell us what really occasioned this free-for-all fight?
So the ARS Church was established in 1939 by the late Prophet C.K. Lutonuchi Wovenu, and this church, like the conventional church, they are unlike the conventional church, so they infuse African traditional practices into their worship. And so you come to Tajevu every year. I'm told their convention starts from the very last Friday before Xmas. People who are members of the church converge here worldwide. People travel all across from Nigeria, Togo, and from, the sub-region here in Tajevu. This year, there are close to 50,000 people in Tajevu who are here to be part of this year's celebration. But yesterday, something happened. Now, I tell you, right after the death of the founder of the church divided into two. There were disagreements that has to do with doctrine, disagreements over management of the church. And so at the point, the church divided into two. One side now currently converging around the Tajevu Dam on the way to Georgia. And then another side is always here at the old side of the church. Now, the old side of the church is what the incident took place yesterday. There, we are being told that the leadership of the church at this side also has internal issues, to the extent that some members of the church are asking that Reverend Yenyami, who currently leads that faction, be removed. They are telling us that there have been court orders that indicate that indeed he has been removed. Yesterday, he attempted to lead church service. The group that is demanding that it does not continue to hold himself as the leader of the church said he would not be allowed to do so. And so in these protests, the back and forth they were having, these things escalated into a free-for-all fight. Before the fight, they had earlier informed the police. So the police came in, close to 25 of them were there yesterday to engage both sides of the church to probably reach some consensus so they could allow that service will continue, but they were not able to reach any consensus. And then the police, right after that, the whole thing escalated into a free-for-all fight. You know that when the service is ongoing, it becomes a full-blown business as well. And so the people here are not just members of the church. There are people here who are here to sell. There are people here who are here to do business. All of that were disrupted yesterday. 7 persons, we are told, were injured but have been treated at the hospital in Georgia and have since been discharged. As I speak to you, church service is currently underway. But I have one of the leaders here with me who has been indicating to me that the issues are not yet over. Mr. Anyaba is a leader of the church. There is service ongoing currently. I want you to look directly. There is service ongoing currently. What does this mean to the confrontations happening in the church?
No, the church service happening now is illegality. And it doesn't mean that the issues are resolved or we have let go. But then we can say, for want of better word, it's a retreat. A retreat in the sense that what happened next, nobody can tell us. I am an elder, just one person, but we have thousands of followers. I should say tens of thousands of followers. And I am not in their mind. I don't know what they can do at any time. But I can confidently say that no, the issues are far from over.
We have today till Friday for, the annual convention to be over. Are you saying that the people who have traveled all across the world to be here are not safe within this period?
I can say for sure.
You are not guaranteeing their safety?
No, and that's what we are telling the police to do, to stop everything.
What do you want the police to do exactly at this moment?
We want the police to prevail on Reverend Nyami, or better still, to enforce the court orders restraining Reverend Nyami from performing any duty as a leader.
Now, if that happens, there will be a vacuum created within this period. What happens to people who travel here to worship?
We will worship without anybody mounting the altar. All that is important to us is our times of prayers: 6 a.m., 9 a.m., 12 noon, 3 p.m., 6 p.m., 9 p.m. People will go there, do their prayers, and retreat to their homes.
Now, finally, before you go, can you confirm to me, yesterday when this incident happened, some people who came here to worship have started going back to their various places? Is that correct?
Sure. Some have started leaving.
Is this something you're happy with as a church?
Not at all. We can't be happy because people can't come from far and near only to come to witness this for some years now. And I'm surprised why the Ghana Police Service can't enforce laws of the country. This man has been restrained. Just this September, he was made to sign a bond by the Sogakope High Court not to interfere in the administration of the church. That bond is still pending, and we serve the police with all these documents. They are supporting him to do the illegality.
Well, Mawena, so that is Mr. Anyaba, one of the leaders of the church, who is telling us that they cannot assure us of the safety of the people who have traveled here to worship this year because the issues are not yet over. I was in the premises a while ago. Even though service is still underway, people seem to be a bit apprehensive because they are not too sure of what will happen. Some years back, I was here, we had gunshots because of these disagreements within the church. Like I said, it's a full-blown business period. And so people travel from across the country.
Oh dear, it looks like we just lost Faisal when he was running up on his submission. But thank you very much, Faisal. He's my colleague in the Volta region for us, and fascinating the development from there. But it will take us on to another break. When we return, a bit more stories for you, then we take the show home. Stay with us.
BFM annual all-white party on the 28th of December. Don't be late.
3FM all-white beach party, sponsored by Blue Jeans Energy Drink, Slam Perfume, Calipo, Fruitelli, Nero Prime Water.
Welcome back to News Central. Well, in Ghana, misdiagnosis of neglected tropical diseases remain a significant concern. A recent study report reveals that 5% of healthcare workers are unable to recognize leprosy, a common NTD, while many others are often misdiagnosed or underreported. Sarah Penkro has more in this report.
Misdiagnosis of neglected tropical diseases often results in delayed treatment, leading to increased morbidity and mortality. It also contributes to the continual transmission of these diseases, higher healthcare costs, and a greater burden on affected communities. The 5 preventive chemotherapy neglected tropical diseases includes river blindness, which remains endemic in 149 districts. Although survey shows parasite levels have dropped below 5% in many areas. The other 4 NTDs, elephantiasis, bilharzia, soil-transmitted helminths, and trachoma, continue to affect various parts of the country. Ongoing efforts to control and eliminate these diseases includes mass drug administration and other public health interventions. Elephantiasis has been eliminated in 114 of the 116 endemic districts, with only 2 still affected. 367 cases of Buruli ulcer were confirmed in 2024 alone, with the disease burden remaining the central region. Meanwhile, yours continues to pose a challenge. In 2024 alone, more than 10,000 suspected cases were reported, with 313 new cases confirmed this year. Head of the leprosy program, Dr. Eduse Poku, at the ICCC high-level meeting series, says the gaps in the treatment of these diseases remain enormous and must be addressed critically.
Can you believe that a lot of them think that leprosy is only the claw hands? That is a two-leg disease. It's a disability. Most of them come as patches. Apart from the diagnosis, where are the medicines? And then every region we have leprosy. The only region we don't have is Bono. But you see, this is passive. And the earlier we did something about it, the better. Can we also integrate ourselves into the NHIA?
Program manager of the National NTD program, Dr. Joseph Opari, says donor withdrawal has had a major impact.
It's time that we look internally to see how best we can support these programs. And as I said, about 80% of program activities have been affected, right? So if NTDs are included in our budget, the routine budget, okay, then also get support from local partners, we should be able to move forward.
At the high-level meeting series, stakeholders called for the establishing of an End NTDs fund through public and private partnerships, stressing the urgent need for sustainable domestic financing.
Well, as the festive season draws near, homes and streets across the country filled with music, food, and reunions. For many families, it is a time of joy and togetherness. But public health experts caution that some of the very activities that define the celebrations may have lasting health repercussions long after the festivities end. Sarah Penkro again with a reminder as to why the Christmas festivities must be measured.
From heavy eating and excessive drinking to crowded parties and reckless driving, the season often comes with risky choices. Health experts say overindulgence in sugary, salty, and fatty foods contributes to a rise in non-communicable diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. Ghana's diet has changed rapidly over the years, with data from the Food and Agriculture Organization showing that daily calorie availability increased from approximately 1,800 calories per person in 1984 to nearly 3,000 calories by 2010. At the same time, nutrition gaps persist. A national micronutrient survey found that 1 in 5 Ghanaian children and 5 is deficient in vitamin A and iron, while 1/3 are anemic. Among women of reproductive age, anemia affects up to 45% of pregnant women, with widespread deficiencies in folate and vitamin B12.
It is advisable, because it's festive season, we limit the intake of highly processed foods. At the end of the season, we are going to come up with these diseases. Already we are challenged with how to handle them. So we are advising Ghanaians to eat in moderation. People will whine. But remember, as you drink and wine, the effects are that, or the repercussions are that, the results are that you come up with obesity, you come up with hypertension. You may even have an accident on your way just because you have drunk and it's not seen clearly on your way back to the house.
Beyond diet, crowded markets, churches, parties, and family gatherings create fertile ground for infections. Respiratory illnesses such as influenza and pneumonia spread easily in packed spaces. Hospitals also record increases in road traffic accidents, substance abuse, all kinds of infections, stress, anxiety, and other mental health challenges during and after the celebrations.
The infections that have to do with the respiratory tract is what we suffer more. You may also tend to see a bit more of the sexually transmitted infections, and that may include syphilis or gonorrhea. Some extent we also see HIV and then hepatitis B and C. But for HIV, hepatitis B and C, usually people will not present it almost immediately after the events, because it may not show you symptoms immediately.
As a season of joy unfolds, the message from health professionals is clear. Enjoying the festivities should not come at the cost of long-term health for both adults and children. Sarah Apenkro, TV3 News, Accra.
That's a casual reminder that you'll enjoy, most definitely you just have to check it and ensure that you don't put yourself at risk in the long run. That's our bulletin for you this afternoon, which came to you from our studios here on the John Hammond Street. We're back again tomorrow, God willing, with another edition of News Central. I am Marwin Egbek. Thanks for watching.